Business schools are opening up their application cycles for 2026 and 2027, and it's an interesting time to be applying. Applications were down this past year with two reasons cited. First, fewer international applicants were looking to come to the US this year, go figure. And second, there's some notion that AI is making people second guess the value of business school or higher education in general. I have thoughts on that, but I'm not focused on that aspect of AI today. If you're currently considering applying to business school, you may have heard that schools are implementing new policies about the use of AI in the admissions process. And many observers have focused on the fact that schools are issuing AI disclosure rules, talking about AI detection software, and requiring citations for any content generated by AI. I think most observers are focused on the wrong question. The question they tend to be looking at is, will they catch you? The question you should be asking is, are you using AI in a way that actually makes your application stronger or weaker? My name is Mike. I worked at Stanford Graduate School of Business for 18 years. I helped launch the MBA leadership curriculum. I taught leadership electives, and I spent more than a decade managing admissions. Over that time, I read thousands of applications. For the past couple of years, I've coached business school applicants, top programs, and I found ways to use AI to help applicants build stronger, more effective applications. I even built a platform called mbai.app, which anybody can use. It helps to understand what schools are dealing with when it comes to AI. Essays that are written by AI in the admissions process are really just a symptom of a deeper issue that schools are struggling with. Because AI is transforming schools and the educational experience. For a couple years now, MBA students have been pushing on faculty, challenging them whether the knowledge and skills that are taught in business schools are even going to be relevant in a decade with all the change that's happening. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of disruption, and schools are under tremendous pressure from the market to adapt. So that's tough enough. But the business schools are not just facing disruption from the technology, they're really facing a cultural transformation. AI is changing how we think about work. It's changing our roles, our expectations about what we can and should do. And it's definitely changing the educational experience. A recent New York Times article by Theo Baker, who is a graduating senior at Stanford, captured some of the impact that AI is having on the student experience. Most people read this article as a powerful indictment of the culture at Stanford, and I think it's a fair take. Of course, I also expect that similar criticisms would be valid at Harvard and at most other elite schools. The article calls out how AI is helping people to cut corners and essentially cheat. Students are under immense pressure to perform, especially when the hype about AI creates a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out. And when you are bombarded by images and social media of people getting ahead, missing out feels like failure. So it's very tempting to use AI to just give you the answer or just write the paper. Obviously, it's not hard to see that this short circuits your learning. And when a lot of students do it, it creates a bad learning environment. So what does this mean for admissions and how they're thinking about AI in the admissions process? Keep in mind, admissions is really just the initial step of creating a student culture at a school. Who you admit, what those students bring in terms of attitudes, values, expectations, it really can determine in a significant way the student experience, the student culture. So the schools recognize they can't outlaw or ban the use of AI. That would be crazy. I mean, they recognize how important it is that students understand the technology, develop fluency using it, and really anticipate the upsides and downsides that it can have for their career, for their industries, for society as a whole. But they also recognize its potential to improve the learning experience. Now, they also recognize its potential to actually improve the learning experience. If you're like me, you've used AI to acquire new knowledge, to develop new skills, to sharpen your thinking at times, or create things that you wouldn't have been able to create without it. These are all positive characteristics in an educational setting. But schools have also seen how corrupting AI can be when it's used poorly. And they're trying to catch up given how fast our norms and expectations are shifting. Schools are looking for signs that you can be among the disciplined and mature students when it comes to the hype. So how do you do that? I would not worry about AI detection in the admissions process. That's kind of a red herring. Schools are extremely risk averse legally, and AI detection software is really just nothing more than a probability. It creates a lot of false positives, and flagging applicants for AI use is a series of lawsuits waiting to happen. Schools do use plagiarism detection, but in those cases, they have an actual citation that they can reference that they just don't have when it comes to AI detection. The truth is, business schools can't pretend that MBAs aren't going to use AI or applicants aren't going to use AI, and they don't actually want to prevent you from using it. They want you to use AI, but they want to see you using it in ways that make you more powerful on your own terms, not just make you slightly above average, sort of in a milquetoast way. So the tension is that schools want to reward good AI use, things that promote analytical, iterative, thoughtful creativity, and discourage bad AI use, which involves really just kind of outsourcing your thinking. But drawing that line in policy language is almost impossible. So it comes back to that question. Are you using AI to make your application stronger or weaker? And if you're using AI to write and think for you, your application is going to be weaker, flatter, less specific, less personal, whether or not it gets flagged. If you're using AI to challenge you to think better, to stress test your stories, identify potential weaknesses, clarify your reasoning, your application can be stronger. And when schools ask you how you used AI, you can be honest about it. You can say, yes, I used AI to challenge my thinking. And this is actually, in most cases, a better and more credible answer than saying I didn't use AI at all. You might even use AI to suggest some language, improve some phrases, or help you better structure your essay. Don't overthink it, but keep in mind that you need to make sure that your application is so personal and specific that you know it couldn't be anything but you that is ultimately behind it. That's the real test. Real specificity was already important before AI was a thing. It's only more important now that AI can help someone who speaks, pretty mediocre English sound like, let's face it, an English literature professor. It's always good to understand the rules, but it's more important to get the underlying issue. This actually promotes the kind of critical thinking that MBA programs are selecting for. So it comes back to that dilemma of how to use AI effectively in the admissions process, which is what led me to create the MBAI.app platform. It's not a tool that writes essays for you, but it is designed to take input from you and then help you think in a structured way about your application. Helps you see your own content reflected through the lens of the admissions committee and their criteria, so you have a better sense of how your application will be evaluated. It's designed to actually make you a stronger candidate by helping you think more clearly about your application in the admissions process. So if you want to see what this looks like in practice, go to mbai.app, link in the description. If you leave a comment for me, I'll send you a code to get a free month of premium tools on the platform. Hope you have a great day. Good luck with your applications.